Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about EndNote, the citation management tool, specifically Cite While You Write. And I am very excited to have our speaker here today. We have Kristin Johnson, who is the Senior Customer Success and Training Manager, which is part of ProQuest, part of Clarivate, and the EndNote management tool. So, Kristin, I'm going to turn it over to you and your presentation.
Great, thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen. Just give me one moment. There we go. So hopefully you can see, I think it's a mountain. There we go. Excellent.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. All right. Hello and welcome to today's session on EndNote. My name is Kristin Johnson. Please feel free, again, as said before, to add your questions to the chat or the Q&A, whichever you're more comfortable with. Today we're going to go over sharing a library, opening a shared library, searching your library, creating custom and smart groups to organize your library, as well as finding and removing duplicates and or retractions. We'll go over the Cite While You Write add-in in Word, how to insert, remove, and format. So this is going to be a pretty action-packed session today, so let's get started. I'm going to refer to sections of EndNote by their names. So let's quickly cover the different panels on the left. So in the green box on the left is the Groups panel. This is where you can find your group sets, tags, recently added items, unfiled items, and trash, kind of like a table of contents for your library. In the center, in the purple box, is the reference list panel. So this will display the references in the group or section that you are currently viewing. So in this case, we're looking at all references. And on the right, in the yellow box, is the reference panel. So this panel has three tabs: the Summary, Edit, and PDF tabs. The Summary tab will display the selected references information as it's entered in EndNote, as well as a generated citation and a button to attach files. You can edit the individual references by clicking on the Edit tab, and you can view the PDF if you have one attached in the PDF tab. So let's look at our workflows for managing libraries with EndNote, components called library groups, group sets, and tags. So there are three types of EndNote library groups that you can create in addition to what we call sets. So let's quickly run through all the available group structures in EndNote 21. So a combination group is a powerful tool that allows you to compare and contrast the contents of two or more library groups to see how they differ or overlap. Custom groups are a type of library group in EndNote that you manually create and populate. And you've got another type of library group that EndNote automatically populates for you, and that's the smart group. So when you create a smart group, you'll outline a search that will accompany this smart group. EndNote then looks for matching items whenever you add a new reference to your library or edit an existing library. And then you've got an element known as the group set. As the name implies, a group set is a library component that allows you to group sets of groups. As simple as that. So some of the best uses for group sets are tracking collected research for various focus areas for your field of study or various research projects. So these library organization elements help you keep your research in one overarching database instead of creating individual libraries for each project or focus area. So the benefit of storing all your sources in one library is that you can identify any reference through a single search versus potentially performing one search per library. EndNote can also better identify duplicates when you save all your research in one library. And additionally, when it comes to library syncing and sharing, you must designate one particular EndNote library for those actions. So now that we've briefly discussed group sets and custom groups, let's talk about the concept of a library tag. So library tags are a visual indicator that you can assign to individual entries in your EndNote library. Consider creating tags to add a secondary level of organization for the existing groups that you're making in your EndNote library. Or you could also use these library tags as an entirely alternative system to the grouping functionality. So in this sample library shown here, we've got three library tags listed on the left: bats, corvids, and parrots. And in the reference list panel, which appears near the middle of your library window, you can display up to 3 tags directly in line on that portion of your library. And before we jump into the live demo, I'd like to mention a few places to find help when you need it. So when you need help, there is a team of EndNote experts available around the clock, Monday through Friday, via chat, email, or telephone to answer questions and help troubleshoot usage issues through the EndNote support portal. You can also access prepared e-learning modules, instructional videos, live webinar registration, and quick reference guides through the EndNote Learning Portal. And I'll put these links into the chat. And now let's take a look at this live. So let me add those to the chat really quickly. And you can see, let me pull up my EndNote. There we go. And my links. Copy and paste. I'm going to put those. So those are the links to the EndNote resources. There's an EndNote YouTube channel. There's EndNote live training, the learning portal, and the support portal. So those are all now in the chat. And I'll also send a copy of this PowerPoint as well with all these links too. So, all right, let me pull up my. Yes, you can apply multiple tags to one reference, and we'll take a look at that shortly, actually. All right, so let me pull up my, oops, wrong. There we go. Let me pull up my notes, and here we go. So first I want to show, here's the just EndNote library. And you can open and close that reference panel on the right by clicking the X button in the mid right top area. So you can see all your reference list panel. And you can have up to 10 columns that you can reorder. So you can click and drag a column to move it. So you can change the order. Or if you, let me put it back. There we go. You can also right click or not. Here we go. There we go. Right click on the column to add or remove columns. So if you don't want to list the journal, you don't have to. Or if you want to include the publisher, you can just quickly click on that. I'm going to uncheck that maybe. There we go. Come on. I know you can do this. I just did. There we go. And if this happens, sometimes you might have to click, right click a few times. I don't know why I was doing that today, but there we go. So now we can see. And if you click on the title itself, you can reorder your references. So right now I have them in alphabetical order by title. And if I click the title again, it'll start with it'll put the A at the bottom and Z at the top. Or if I want to go back, I can just click it once more, and now I have A at the top and Z at the bottom. Same with author, journal, year, so you can change the order depending on which column title you select. Okay, so let's talk about sharing libraries, because I know that's definitely on everyone's mind. So by the way, if you do close that reference panel on the right and you want to reopen it, just double click on any reference and the panel will come back. So here we go. So under File, you can share libraries a couple ways. So you can compress a library to send it. So you can send an entire copy if you need to, or you can compress it to create a backup. And to compress it, you can go to the File, Compress, and usually I leave it on Create. Create an email is generally for if you know you're going to be using Outlook. If you happen to use other, email companies or email, uh, other emails, you'll definitely want to use the Create. But even if you use Outlook, you can still leave it on Create. That's fine. I usually just leave it on the default there. And then you've got the option to select whether or not you want to include any file attachments. So if your reference if you've included the PDF or an Excel file or something with your reference, you can choose to include it or to not include it. Again, that also might depend on if you know that copyright, like if your colleague is from a different institution and doesn't have access to something, whatever it might be. And then below that, we've got all references in library. So you can select all references, or you can select the option to do selected references, or you can select a specific group. And then just hit next and figure out where you'd like to put your library and then hit save. And that's how you compress it. Another way, which you probably might prefer, you could also just share your library. So under File, you can click on Share. And right now I'm not sharing my library with anyone. So let me get my colleague's email address so I can copy and paste it. And I can put, my colleague's email address right in the enter email address box, and you just separate it with columns. You have up to 1,000 people that you can share a library with, and you can add a message here's my library, or probably want to do something a little bit more exciting than that. And then under permission, you can specify if you want to give them read and write or read only privileges. I'm going to select read only for right now and hit invite. And then you'll see who you've invited at the top. So right now I've only invited one colleague, and I've given them the permission of read only, and the status is pending. And then there's a little cogwheel to the right where you can remove. So if you accidentally invited them or you want to remove them for some reason, you can do so, or you can also remind them if it's been like a week or two and they haven't accepted the invite, you can remind. And you can also change the permission, and maybe you want to give them read and write. You can quickly select that, and now the permission has changed. And you can close it once you're done. So that's to share your entire library. But let's say you don't want to share everything. Maybe you just want to share one group. You can go to the specific group. So I'm going to select, actually, let's do corvids and parrots maybe. There we go. Nope, I want to do parrots. So I'm going to select the specific group, and there are some icons at the top of the reference list panel. So you can quote, you can add a new reference, but there's also a person icon, which is where you can share the group. So I can click on that person, and now I can share this particular group. Again, I can put that email address in. Here's the group, and I can say, Jimmy will only get read only for this particular group, and hit invite. And that's it. So you can share a group, share the entire library, whatever you need to do. So that's kind of sharing. And then to see a library that you might have access to. So right now I have a group that one of my colleagues has shared with me, EndNote user project review. I can click on it, and then it'll take me to this screen where it's a link. And if I click on that link, it'll open over here. Let me move my Google tab open. And now it'll show me the shared library that I have access to, that I can see the specifics. All right, so that's how you get to your shared library. That's how you share a library. And let's keep going. How do the tags impact a shared library? Does the person you share the library see the tags? Actually, that's a great question. I don't know if this one has any tags. Let's see if they have tags. Parrots. This should have tags in it, I thought. That's a good question. You know what? Let me get back to you on that, and I will let you know. Excellent question. All right, so let's bring back the EndNote, and I'm going to go back to my all references. And my notes. All right, so that's backing up, sharing a library. So now let's talk a little bit about organization. So I'm going to talk about groups and tags, and I'll get back to you on the tags and sharing, because that's a great question. I'm writing it down so I don't forget. All right, here we are, all references. So now let's say I want to create a group, or a group set, I should say. I'm doing a new research project on air quality, and I want to create a group set where I'm going to put all my research or all my references for that particular topic. So I'm going to click on my groups. And then in the file menu at the top, there's a groups menu, and here's where you can find create group set, and also create group, smart group, and from groups. And we'll take a look at all of those. Let's start with create group set. So I'm going to call this air quality, spelled correctly, hopefully, air quality, and hit enter once I've typed in my particular title. And when I click on it, it's going to be empty because I haven't put anything into it yet. It's just an empty group set. but I do want to start subdividing my topic because I know I'm going to be talking about climate change specifically. So I could add a quick group, custom group. So this is one of the manual group I can create and manually populate. So I'm going to go to groups and create group. So here's my new group, and I'm going to call this, like climate change. And now I have my group within my group set. So I had made sure to click on the group set I want to put it in, and then went to the groups menu at the top. So here I go, and now I'm going to go to my all references. And one of the things I can do is I can do a quick search of my references. So I know I'm looking for, like air quality. So I can do a quick search and hit enter, and I got 384 references that matched. I know it's kind of small here, but it's just under the searching all references, it says 384. And I could actually probably click and drag, highlight all of these and just drag them over if I wanted to, but I want to get a little bit more specific. And you can see too, it highlights where it found my terms. So you can see it's looking in the title, it's looking in the author, it's looking in the journal. So it's looking all over. So let's say I want to get a little bit more specific. So I'm going to do an advanced search, which is just below that simple search. And I'm going to leave it on any field, but I'm going to do air quality. And maybe I'm interested any field and climate change. So I'm leaving it any field contains air quality and any field contains climate change. I'm going to do a search. And so now I've got 201. So I'm just going to do Control A, and I'm going to click and drag and put those in my climate change folder. So now my unfiled went from 520 something to 323 since I moved about 201 into that climate change folder. So that's one way that you can organize. You can also add tags. So for example, maybe I want to clear the search and just look for, anything about fire or smoke. I can, kind of do a quick search and I get 78 references. So maybe I want to do this, let's see. Let's do wildfire as one word. Search. So now I have 40 references. There we go. Climate, wildfire, fire, air quality system. So this looks like a pretty good one. I would like to add a tag so I can visually kind of see. So I can click on this particular reference, and under the My Tags in the left panel, there's a plus, or I can right click on the reference itself and go to Manage Tags, or I can also, on the reference panel, under the Summary tab, I can also click on Manage Tags. So all of those will take me to this menu here where I can start managing my tag. I don't have a tag for this yet, so I'm going to click on Create Tag, and I would like to make this, let's see, I've got red, purple, and yellow. Let's make this one green, and maybe I'm going to tag this one as, wildfire, and create a tag. So I have a green tag, and I can hit OK, and that's how I can assign a specific tag. Now, there was that question about, can you add more tags? So I'm going to go back over here. This time we'll do the right click, Manage Tags. Takes you right back here. I can add bats, corvids, and parrots. Actually, I can add all of those. Only 3 will show in the column. So if I hit OK, it'll only show 3. And it happens to be in alphabetical order. So wildfire is last. And something to keep in mind too. But let's say I want to change that. I can again go to the Manage Tags by right clicking, or as you can see on the right under the summary, I can quickly, remove bat. And now you can see it changed the order to purple, yellow, and green, or I can take off parrots. This is just about corvids and wildfire, which is not true, but you can see you can quickly add and it changes the visual on the reference list panel. Okay. Now, there are better versions of this. Let me show you over here. I have some that aren't on the fly. So I'm going to click into my corvids or parrots group over here. And you can see I've got how it would work. It could help with the visual organization of your references. And then if you click on the tag itself on the left, so wildfire, I've only tagged 1. So it'll pull up that 1 article. Or if I click on bats, it'll pull up 23 because I've added it to 23 different references here. All right, so I'm going to go back to climate change. And let's talk a little bit about, I showed you searching, so let's actually talk a little bit about more of the advanced search options as well. I did do like an any field search, but you can also do any field in PDF with notes. So I'm going to show you the PDF notes. I have written a note on one of my PDFs and I want to find it. And I remember I used the word tools. So I can type it that in PDF notes contains tools. Oh, sorry. Let me go back to all references because it's not in this group. It's in all references. There we go. And here is the article that I have it in. It's the circadian rhythm, circadian disruption. And on the reference panel on the right, on the summary tab, I'm going to go to the PDF tab, which will show my annotations, and I'm going to open it by clicking on it's a square with like an arrow going from bottom to the top right. I'm going to click on that to kind of expand it a bit so you can see hopefully a little bit more clearly. So here's my PDF. I'm going to zoom in a bit. There we go. And you can see I've got a highlight here and there's a little speech bubble right here. That's my note. And if I double click on it, my note says tools for diagnosis. So that's why this article pulled up, because it was looking in my notes field. So that could be particularly useful. I'm going to close it to go back to EndNote. And I'm going to go back to the summary. So you can also create a smart group. So let's say we want to do a new smart group. We can do it from the search itself. So if I want to do like any field, air quality, and any field, climate change, I can actually do a quick search, find those 201 references, and then create a search options and convert to a smart group. Or I can click on the group set that I want to add that group to. So I can click on air quality and I can go to groups and I can go to create smart group. And it gives me those kind of similar options. So I can, but first it also gives me the opportunity to name it. So maybe I want to name this fires. And I want to make this, and again, you can use any field. So you can specify author, title, journal. I'm going to keep it on any field to kind of keep it broad today. And I want to do this one as air quality and any field as fires. I'll do fire singular. And I also have options. I can save this search for later as well, but this is what I want. So I want to pull any references that fit this particular search, and then I'm going to hit create. And it actually created a group called fires for me, and it auto filled it with those 189 references that fit my particular criteria. So those can be very useful and quick ways to kind of organize your references. Now, there's also a combination group that I mentioned as well, and that's that create from groups in the groups menu at the top. So you can do the create from. I have two already created, so I'm going to just click on them. So I have these under avian intelligence. I have two sets of references: Corvids, which has 7, and Parrots that has 7. They each have 7 references in them. So I've created a from group, these combination group for corvids and parrots. And I'm going to right click on it to show the edit group, because once you create them, you can also edit them. And it shows you exactly what I've done. So for corvids and parrots, I've looked for references that are in the corvids group and references that are in the parrots group, and only one was in both. And so I can quickly create a group. And then with the or, I'm going to hit edit group again. In this case, as the name implies, I'm looking for references that are in either corvids or parrots. So, and that will give me both of those in one group. And those can be pretty useful ways to compare or contrast 2 or more groups in your library. And another example might be, let's say you want to remove irrelevant references from a group. You can create a smart group to find them and then create a combination group to look in the bigger group and use not. So you can not the smaller group. And that way you can quickly remove or kind of get the references, isolate the references so you can remove them. All right. So now let's talk a little bit about finding duplicate references. So we have we've talked about groups, we've talked about tags. I'm going to go back to my all references here. I've got 572, and I know I've got some overlap or some duplicates. I could see them. So right here, understanding climate change, this is the same reference 3 times. So there's probably some more duplicates within this group as well. So how do you find those? So under the library menu at the top, you can click on library and then find duplicates. And you have a few options. I'm going to hit cancel really quickly just to show you what happens before we move to this find duplicates screen. So on cancel, it has highlighted the articles that will be deleted. Currently, if I went through the find duplicates, I can also just hit delete on my keyboard really quickly. I'm going to go back to the library to find duplicates to bring that screen back. You also have the option to specify your primary reference. So I'm going to click on this drop-down menu towards the top right. So you can select most complete, the newest version, or the oldest version. And if you're not sure, you can also, go reference by reference, looking between the two, and you can say, oh, I want to keep this one on the left, not the one on the right. So I can click on keep this reference, and then it'll go to the next one, and I can go through and do that for however many hundreds of references, or I can do a quick one and do, I want the most complete, and I'm going to click on keep all primary references that are most complete, and it'll do that for me. And as you can see, there were 110 duplicates, so I just removed those pretty quickly. And I can go through here and just verify that this is, let me go to the summary tab, make sure that this is definitely what I want to delete if I am curious or unsure. All right, so that's one way that you can do the duplicates. You can also, if you want to, under edit and preferences and under duplicates, you can specify how you want to compare your references based on specific fields. So right now I have it as author, year, title, and reference type, and I have it ignoring spacing. And you can also specify what you want to do for your primary reference criteria. Again, if you want to do most complete, newest, or oldest, you can set it here. So if I just want to do oldest, I can hit apply and hit OK. So then next time I go in, it'll be set to oldest already. And I can again still use that drop down to switch if I want to. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about retractions. You might see on my left in my groups panel, I have a retractions folder already. I'm going to click on that because I've got at least 74 articles that have been flagged as retractions. So to get into that folder, so retractions need to be in that retraction watch database, so the retractiondatabase.org. And they still might not catch it. So there are some examples that it might not catch everything. So keep that in mind as well. And you'll want, it verifies it based on the DOIs. And you might want to reach out to your librarian if you do have questions about zombie literature or using retractions, but it does flag it. And in this case, I actually uploaded these from Web of Science, so it actually put retracted in the title, which is very nice. But it also tells you on the right in the reference panel, the retracted publication, it'll tell you why. And if you click on read more, it should take you to the article itself, and you can get more information. So hopefully they've put in why this, and here it says discrepancies in scope, discrepancies in the description, etc. So it should give you some more information as well. And then if you want to get rid of all of those, you can do Control A on a keyboard, or you can click on the first one and highlight all the way to the bottom and hit delete, or move it to the trash. You can click and drag to the trash. And so now they're all in the trash. And to eliminate things from a trash, click on your trash on the left and click on the permanently delete all references in the trash icon, which is the icon on the left. And it really makes sure you really want to do that. Yes, I do. And it's emptied. So now I've just deleted all that. All right. Let me show you a couple more things, and then I will move on to some questions. Oh, Updating references. Sometimes, you may want to check your references quarterly to make sure that they're still up to date. And so, I'm going to click on one of these older ones, this Corvids, and you can select whichever references you want to check. You can do a group. I'm going to just do maybe one because it can take some time. And so I'm going to highlight the reference that I want to check, and I'm going to go to the references menu in the top, and I'm going to select Find Reference Updates. And what it does is it checks by DOI in Crossref, PubMed, and Web of Science. And you can select to update all the fields or only empty fields to prevent writing over any of your additional notes or comments or fields that you filled out. Or you can edit the reference manually to select which fields you want to change. And whatever you select, you'll be asked if you want to apply that to all of the articles or references. Since I've only done one, it's only going to apply to this one. But and you can say yes, and it will, or you can say no, and you'll be prompted every time. Kind of similar to like the duplicates that we just saw. So here we have not too many changes, just one. So I'm going to hit update all fields, and there we go. Now it's up to date. So again, you might want to do that just once a quarter, just to make sure that everything's up to date. Now, before I move on to the Cite While You Write, I'm going to check to see what questions I may or may not have missed. All right, so let me go through. There's a lot of chat. I love it. Thank you guys. Answered. We'll come back to the tags and shared references. Okay, so the question was, you don't want to move into air quality first and then into a subfolder. You can do that. Either way, since I'm doing this kind of on the fly, I did one way, but yeah, you can absolutely, especially if you just imported like a whole bunch of references and it's all for your new project, you can absolutely create your group set and take your imported or recently added or imported references. Like I can take these 340 and I can quickly add them to, oh, I'm sorry, no, not the group set. You can add them to a folder within that, or not folder, a group within that group set. So I'm sorry, I thought air quality was a group, not a group set for a second. Apologies. So yeah, you'd want to make like a folder. Maybe you could say it like put it in a folder or a group. I'm going to use folder every once in a while. I apologize because that's how I imagine it in my mind. So let's say I want to create a group, and I could say like to be filed. I know these are all the articles that I want to put for my air quality, and I just add them. So I can go to my recently added, and I can do Control A, put those into my to be filed. And so now they're in my air quality group set, if that makes sense. I hope that answered that question. Or you can leave them in the unfiled. I mean, that's another way to do it too. So if I were to delete this group, I'm going to right click and delete the group. Yeah, I want to delete it. It's not going to delete the references, and it says note references will not be deleted. So they'll all go back to that unfiled. So they're back here on the unfiled, and you can use that to help identify which references still need to be filed or not. So it's up to you which way you work best, if that makes sense. All right, and I am using 21. Maximum number of references. Oh, I know this one. I believe it's pretty darn high. I think it was like 9. I'll get you the exact number shortly. But yeah, it's pretty high, and each reference can have a number of attachments as well. But
I
oh, you
looked
have
this
it.
up. I
Yeah.
looked it up, Kristen. So it's, I guess it's like almost a million, or you can have like one shy of a million in a
Yes.
library, and each reference can have up to 45 attachments.
Yes, that's correct. Because I was like, I thought it was close to a million, but I wasn't sure exactly. Thank you. How do you remove from group without removing the library? Oh, I don't know if you just saw what I just did. If I wanted to delete a group, you can delete a group, or you can also, click and drag. Like maybe I want to take this one reference and I can put it back in my unfiled, or I can add it, or I could put it somewhere else. Well, this is a smart group. Let me choose a non-smart group, a custom group. Let me click and drag, and I can put this in my, I can just delete it out of there. And I do want to delete this selected reference, and it's not going to be deleted from my library, it's just from this group. And so it should go back to my, yes, it did. Went back to my unfiled. So it went from 198 to 199. All right. Yes. Excellent. You already answered that. I'm sorry if I'm I'm still slow on the chat over here. I apologize.
No, it's okay. If you wanted to move on to Cite While You Write, we can definitely we'll be collecting the questions as we go, and we can answer them when we get to a Q&A spot.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you so much. All right, I'll move on to the Cite While You Write, and then we could do the questions at the end. Excellent. Okay, so here we are in the Word document, and I did pull up, just in case, I do have a support article on Google Docs just in case. So I'm going to put that into the chat really quickly. I'm going to be focusing on the Microsoft Cite While You Write today, but here we go. This is a quick article that I found earlier today. All right, so Cite While You Write. Let's pull up my notes as well and get started. So just to insert, or actually as soon as you downloaded and installed EndNote, it kind of looks for your Microsoft or your Microsoft Word on your desktop. So, and then it will install a ribbon item into your Microsoft Word. So there should be, on your ribbon tab at the top, you'll see an EndNote 21. And so here you can select that, and this is how you can add citations to your Word document. There are a couple different ways that you can do it as well. Hopefully they can, sadly I can't make the ribbon any larger. I can only make the text of the document larger. But so at the top we have different options. There's an insert citation button. There's also your style right at the top, and we're going to end the instant formatting. I'm going to turn this on really quickly, but we'll talk about the instant formatting on versus off in just a moment. So to add a citation, there's a couple ways. Like I said, hold on, it's taking a moment to turn my instant formatting on. There we go. The first thing you want to do is put your cursor where you want to insert your citation. So if you want a space, add your space into there. And then you're going to click on the Insert Citation button all the way in the top left of that EndNote 21 ribbon. And it'll give you the option to do a search. Since I've done this already, it remembers my last search. So you can, type in a new search like air quality or whatever term you want to use and hit find. And so now I've got all these different articles that have matched my search, and I can use these to help me figure out if that's the article I'm looking for. So I can click on it, and then below it, it'll give me more of that metadata. So it gives me the record number, the authors, the year, the title, the journal, so all the information. So I'll be like, yes, that was the one I wanted, so I can hit insert. And then it'll put it in right where my cursor was. I have it set to APA 7th at the moment. You can also do multiple. If you have a group citation, you can do that as well. So I'm going to go back to insert citation, and I'm going to just click and then hit on a Microsoft or on a Windows computer. You can use the control button to select multiple. So I've selected 3, and I can insert all 3 as a group citation right into my Word document. Now this is the in-text citation, and there is a bibliography that has already started generating, or a references list. And you can, move this as needed to different parts of your document. Now, let's say you don't want APA, you want a different style. Maybe you want to include abstracts in your reference list. There is, under the annotated, it's kind of like a more general citation style, but it will include abstracts in your reference list. Or if you don't want that, maybe you're doing something different, you can also select, Vancouver, or you could do, whichever style that I'm going to keep it on APA just because it's pretty easy to see it. but you can select that and use that to change the specific style. Now, let's say you need to change more than that. So I'm going to select this group citation here, and I'm going to use the Edit and Manage Citations button up in the top left again. So this time you can do a number of things. So you can actually remove a reference. So let's say, I took out this third article here from my group citation. I can click on the drop down menu to the right of the reference I've selected and hit Remove Citation. And it keeps the other two. It is now, and when I hit OK, it will have removed that third citation from that group citation, but the other two are still there. And in the reference list, it has only removed that one citation since I only used it once. If I had used it multiple times, it would still be in my reference list and wherever else I put it in my paper. So it'd still be there. Another way that you can add a citation, if your EndNote library happens to be superbly organized and you find things a lot more easily in EndNote, you can still use that as well. You can put your cursor where you'd like to put your in-text citation. I'm going to add a space, and you can go to your EndNote, and you can go to your specific group, and you can select, I'm going to put this back on the summary tab. You can select the citation, and there are a couple things that you can do. To the bottom right on the summary tab, you can actually copy and paste if you wanted to, or if you just click on the citation, there's a quote icon at the top on the reference list panel. You can use that and it will insert the citation for you right in the document. Again, though, if you notice, my EndNote was set to JAMA. It stays with whatever the document has been selected, whatever citation style you've selected in the document. Now, if you don't want or you don't see your specific citation style listed, you can try to see if it's listed in the Select Another Style. And there's many, many different styles. So you can, hopefully it's there. And if not, then you can definitely contact support and they can actually, or if you need to create your own style, you can contact support and they can actually help you create that. So they could, they could walk you through the process of finding one that's similar and then editing what you need to edit. All right, so that's a few things. But now let's talk about, how do you format your reference list? So we have here, as you can see, it looks very different from the rest of the document. So how do you make it kind of match, or how do you change the style and the references, or maybe you want to add some spacing? To do that, on the EndNote 21 tab, in the bibliography part, there's a tiny arrow at the bottom. And if you hover over it, we'll say Configure Bibliography. If you click on that, this is where you can actually change a few different things. So you can actually change your output style here as well. And then you have your temporary citation delimiters. So that's if you turn your instant formatting off, which we'll show in just a moment. These brackets will be what kind of identifies those as temporary citations that aren't formatted yet. Now, something to keep in mind, if you're using brackets anywhere else in your document, you might want to change your left and right to something that you're not using in your document. Now, this is all under that first tab, which is the Format Bibliography tab. Then we have a Layout tab. And this is where you can change your bibliography title and the font. So right now I have it set to Avenir Next Pro, but maybe I want Bauhaus 93 and I want to make it size 16. I can select that. I can also change my bibliography title from references to, bibliography, or whatever you want. And I can also change my indentation. So I have my first line indent at 0 and my hanging indent at 0.5. I can change those. I also have my line spacing as single, but I can change that to 1.5 or double. And I can add a space after. Maybe I want 1.5 lines after each reference. And then I can hit OK. So you can see it has changed my bibliography. So the reason you want to use those features, the edit and manage citation and the little like arrow to configure is because there are field codes that are used by EndNote in Word to identify your references to kind of help us or help the EndNote find and replace your temporary citations with the formatting or change your entire format if you choose to do so. So when you hit delete to remove a citation, those tags will still be there. So sometimes you'll see like your reference popped up again. So that's how you remove it. And that's also why if you change your bibliography, anytime you've add a new one, it probably goes back to the default. So that's why. Um, I hope that kind of answers some of your questions there. Um, so let's say another thing that you might do often is, let's say in this sentence, I actually use the author's name, like blah, blah, blah said blah, blah, blah. I want to change my citation since I use the author's name in the sentence. So I can select this particular reference and go to edit and manage citations. And again, I've already got it highlighted. And there is on the second half, there's formatting. So I can say I want to exclude the author. So you've got different options. You can exclude author, exclude year, exclude author and year, depending on the sentence or what you need. So I'm going to click on exclude author. But I also, let's say, maybe want to add like pages. In the same thing, maybe I want to hold on. There we go. So let's say I'm going to add some pages and I want to put them I want to format them correctly. So I'm going to put those into the suffix field here at the bottom, and I'm going to do like, oh no, I don't. Sorry. I was trying to highlight this so you didn't have to watch me type it in, but I might have to do that. So let's see if it'll work this time. Yeah, I'm going to have to type it in. So let's say I want to do comma, PP, period, and then the page number. So I kind of format it how I want to see it. So like I want to add some page numbers, I'm putting it to the suffix field, and I want to add the PP period. So this is how I can do it. And I'm going to hit OK. So now it took out the author's name. So now I've got the year and I've got my date, my page range. So that's how you can, individually edit a specific reference if and when you need to do so. And again, you can also, if you need to do more than that, definitely, contact support, because there's templates and stuff that you can use, but that gets pretty complicated quickly. Some other things that you might want or be interested in doing is maybe you're writing a chapter or you've got a book. You can categorize your references as well. So in that EndNote ribbon above the instant formatting, there's a categorize references. You can go to configure categories. And right now I've got like random ones, primary sources and secondary sources, but you can add a category heading, maybe like chapter 1 or whatever it is. And then you can go to your references. All references are uncategorized, and you can click and drag. So I can highlight the one I want to add to my primary source or maybe secondary source, and then the other two are still uncategorized. So if I hit OK, now you'll see I've got a primary sources, a secondary sources, and then uncategorized. So that might be a useful thing to keep in mind as well. All right. Now, when you're working with longer documents, like hundreds of pages, you might want to turn off your instant formatting. So I'm going to quickly turn that off. Again, that's just under that categorize references in the EndNote tab. So you can turn instant formatting off. And what that does is you can still find and insert your citations. So I can still find a citation. Let's put this one in there. But now you'll see it's got that curly bracket to kind of signify this is a temporary location, and it won't be in your cite reference list or your citation list yet because I have it turned off. So it will just be a generic kind of citation until I hit that turn instant formatting back on. And you might, another reason you might want to do that is if you happen to be working on a shared document, especially if authors happen to be working at the exact same time. you might want to turn off your instant formatting until you're done, and then you can turn it on. And when you're ready, you can just turn it back on, and it'll update all the citations. So I can turn it back on, and then it'll generate the citation that I just added and also add it to my uncategorized list. So there we go. One more thing you might be interested in, which is definitely something that is not intuitive. Oh, let me put this, let me make this back. I'm going to put that layout is pretty big. So I'm going to go back to my Avenir Pro and I'll put it back on size 11. Oh, that's good. And I'm going to hit OK, hit OK. So there we go. So now it's back to somewhat normal there. Let's say you're ready to like submit this document, but they asked you to remove any format or any field codes, or you need to submit it as a plain text document. How do you do that? First thing you want to do is save your document with the formatting, just as a backup, just in case you want to add things later or change the citation style. You can. So save it first, and then once you've made a backup, then you'll want to go to your EndNote 21 ribbon again, and you'll go to Convert Citations and Bibliography, and you're going to go to Convert to Plain Text. And I love this because it's like, do you really, really want to do this? Yes, is the answer. So make sure, again, it also says, make sure you back up the document first and then hit Continue. And so now if I were to change the citation style, none of these will change. Nothing will be updated because it's like you added them by hand yourself. So it stripped all those field codes away, and so now there's no formatting. So it looks like it was just native to the document. All right. So that's a lot, and we'll see if we are running close to time, but we do have some questions. So I'll let you tell me which questions I should focus on because I seem to have
Awesome.
a lot.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So everyone, I'll do this real quick and say we're moving on to the Q&A portion. But we are going to go over the ones that came into the Q&A panel first. I've been trying to grab the ones in the chat as much as possible, but we are keeping those tab on those. So there was a very first question was, is there any benefit or disadvantage to sharing references via the traveling library option in a Word document?
Ooh, I don't know off the top of my head. I will find out and let you know. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I can't think of any either. I think calling it your traveling library is just your online library, correct? Your
Yes,
one that's yeah. So I don't see of any benefits or disadvantages there.
but I
Either
can
way.
definitely find out and see because I do have some colleagues that have a lot more experience with something like that, so I can find out and let you know.
Great. Next one. Any suggestions on best practices for organizing your library on your computer to keep the PDFs attached to each listing?
Do you mind if Oh, good. I am sharing. There's a lot of different ways actually that you could do that. One that might be easier for you, and it definitely depends on your own personal like data management style. But one way you could do that is in under Edit and Preferences under PDF handling, you can specify a folder or designate a folder on your computer that you will always put PDFs in, and EndNote will every time you open EndNote, it will go to that folder and check to see if you have any PDFs that you haven't uploaded, and it'll add them as citations. Keep that in mind too. It'll make a new citation. So if you already have it as a citation, you might want to attach it first differently. But this might be one way, so you can attach it, and it'll create a citation. Again, that depends on if the specific article's DOI matches something in that cross-ref database. So that's something to think about too. But that's one way you could do it. Another way you could do it is with that attach file, and you can just go to the specific folder that you need and click on the particular document you want to attach. And again, under the edit preferences, one more thing, it will also give you auto naming options, renaming options. Now, this is only for PDFs that you import after you've done this, but you can have it so that each PDF has a specific way of being put in, so author and title or author and year or custom, and you have up to 3 fields that you can specify. Does that answer your question?
I think that helps. Also, Beth, I will note, uh, you need to keep your folders together on your computer. So when you create a library, it generates a data folder, and so you need to
Yes.
keep that together with the library folder. If you place them in different places, you've broken all attachments to your all links to your attachments. So they act as one. Keep them together.
That's a really great point, and also that's I usually cover that more in depth on when I'm talking about creating a library, but yes, you need to
Mhm.
keep those folders together, and they need to be on a non-shared drive, so it's like not a folder off of a shared network, if that makes sense.
Yep, keep it on your desktop. So, next question is in the past using EndNote in-text citation in Word, I noticed there were errors in the formatting of the in-text citation, but the citation appeared locked and would not allow me to manually edit it. How do you override that formatting or how do you edit the formatting?
All right, right. Well, right now I have it. Let me add a citation here. It's kind of like what I was showing before. So right now I have I'll turn my instant formatting back on. And remember, these are all kind of dead right now because I've removed all the field codes. So I'm going to go to insert a new citation and I'm going to just add one. So depending on how you want to change the particular uh, in-text citation, or it was in-text citation, right? Or was it the
It
actual reference itself?
it was
Okay.
in text.
So in the in-text citation, let me see if I can I just lost my there it is. So here's my specific one. So now I can click on it. And this is where you can go to that edit and manage citation. So that's where you can go to edit your reference, or you can edit the citation itself. And again, this is where you can choose the display as author year, exclude year, exclude author and year. And you can also add a prefix, a suffix, or pages. So this is where I added that comma, space, PP, period, and then the page range. You can add that into your citation if that's kind of what you're looking for. Now, if you're talking more about the specifics of the citation style itself, one other option is to select a different style, something that's a little bit closer to what you're looking for. And again, if there's nothing, reach out to EndNote support. They might be able to help you build something that's specific to what you're looking for. Does that hopefully answer that question?
I hope so. Okay, so our next question is, could you please? Oh, we're at 1 o'clock. Oh no. Okay, let's see if we can answer this one. Could you please cover how to identify missing in-text citations or missing references in the bibliography? So there seems to be a lot of copying, pasting that may go on. Is there a way for EndNote or EndNote within Word to uh, identify missing citations?
Ooh, that I don't know, but I bet you there probably is a way. So let me get back to you on that one. I can find out for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristen. This was amazing. And I know we have a ton of questions that we did not get to. Please note, everyone, I have been keeping track of our chat and the questions that went into the Q&A, and I will be sharing them all with Kristen. She will take them back to her colleagues. They'll sort out answers for you, and we will get
Yes.
this out to everyone who registered, everyone who attended, and of course, we'll get you those slides as well. So never fear. And we did record this. We'll have all of this available for you. Um, thank you guys so much for all your questions. These were awesome. I will be in touch. You will hear from the library about this.
And thanks for inviting me today. This was a lot of fun. So hopefully it was useful.
Yes, I believe it was. Thank you, Kristen. We will have you back at some point. I know.
Excellent. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.